Good afternoon and welcome to the Rotary Club of Madison. I'm George Hidalgo, Club President, and thank you for joining us today. So, my opening message this week is on the topic of Rotary's World Polio Day that was held on October 24th. Now, Rotary International established World Polio Day over a decade ago to commemorate the birth of Jonas Salk, who led the first team to develop a vaccine against polio. Rotary has been working to eradicate polio for more than 35 years, and we've made incredible progress. Polio cases have been reduced by more than 99.9% worldwide. Now, many Rotary clubs around the world typically hold an event, whether it's virtual or not, and it's been really challenging. Obviously, the pandemic has just impacted the celebration. Now, in terms of us, we've been able to contribute on two separate fundraisers for polio plus fund and have contributed a total of $256,000 in those two fundraisers. And those have helped eradicate, polio. In addition, we provide $30 contribution to the Polio Plus Fund in the name of our speaker as a way to express our thanks for speaking. So every week we're donating a certain amount to the Polio Plus Fund. So the polio eradication effort connects Rotarians and partners around the world to make an incredible difference. So it's a great service and action example. So thank you for what every Rotarian, especially in our club, to raise that much money has done to help eradicate polio. So you're making a difference in the role. So thank you very much. Now, on to our opening music. So it's going to be Elaine Mishler, who will play My Country 'Tis of Thee on the piano, and we'll then hear the Addams Family theme song. So our thanks to Elaine, as well as Casey Okers, who will be on the flute for our feature song with video production by Nick Bartel. Take it away, Elaine. Thank you, Elaine and Casey. That was really outstanding. Definitely a little bit of different. What's going on? What is that? Hey, I didn't know your place was haunted there. Oh, let me get. Wow, that's pretty scary. So you're going to have to talk to the landlord about what you got in this facility there, Brian. So let me go on to the member interview series. As you know, we have a newer member of our club who interviews a longer-term member. This helps us not only connect to a new member, but also to hear a little bit more about one of our longer-term members. This month, Sarah Best interviewed longtime Rotarian and past president Susan Schmitz. First, a little bit about Sarah. She was born in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, and moved to Madison from Chicago in 2014. She joined our Rotary Club in 2017 and owns Sarah Best Strategy, which is a digital marketing agency that helps organizations shine in the digital space. Sarah is an avid traveler and a foodie. She is a virtual artist and a film curator and is also a published poet. Her community service activities include serving as secretary of the board for the New Harvest Foundation, and she was an inaugural member of the Crossroads Fund Upstart board in Chicago. Now, Sarah got married in May, and I'm sure she has stories to tell about how they had to transition to a virtual wedding due to the pandemic, something we're going to ask her about when we get back to meeting in person. So here's Sarah's summary of her interview with Susan Schmitz. Sarah?
Hello, my fellow Rotarians. Sarah Best here. It was my privilege and pleasure to recently get to interview past president Susan Schmitz as part of our Getting to Know a Rotarian series. As many of you know, Susan grew up in Madison. In fact, her family was part of the fabric of our city. Her great-grandfather started a men's clothing business in 1898 on Mifflin and State Street. Susan grew up in the business and eventually owned her own clothing store at Hilldale. Susan joined the club in 1989, but said she could hardly wait to join. That was because her dad loved Rotary, so she always assumed she'd be a member someday, even when she was a kid. When I asked Susan about what she's most proud of, she said that it was returning to school as an adult. She graduated from UW-Madison in December of 2000 and rates graduation day as one of the happiest days of her life. Around that time, she also became the executive director of Downtown Madison Incorporated, a position that she held for 20 years. She recalls that it was the best job that she could have ever had, noting that it gave her a real platform to make a positive difference in the community. Since retiring from that job, Susan's opened up her own consultancy. One of her favorite Rotary memories was the time when George McGovern, who is a personal hero of hers, spoke to our club while she was president. After that speech, George McGovern wrote her a thank you note, which she still has to this day. Susan's married to fellow Rotarian Gary Peterson, and they both enjoy traveling. For fun, Susan loves to ride her bike, especially her new electric bike. She says she could live on a bike 24/7. She also loves hiking, playing the piano, downhill skiing, and cooking for other people. And she loves all the fresh food that we have access to from the farmer's market. Her advice to fellow Rotarians is to open up to other people because that's what Rotary is all about. Connecting to people with similar values who also value service to our community. Susan gets a great deal of joy out of all of the Rotary friendships she's made over the past 30 years, especially with people she wouldn't have met any other way. Susan says that Rotary tremendously benefited her in her job, but she also cites that it helps her keep a check on her values, what really matters to her and what she really cares about, also where she needs to put her efforts in order to make things better. So that's what I got to know about Susan. Thank you for listening.
Well, thank you very much, Sarah. It's great to hear about another fellow Rotarian that some of us may not know about. So that's fantastic. It helps us connect a whole lot better. So our next item is talking about the Community Grants Campaign. And past President Ellsworth Brown has an update for this year's activity. Thank you.
Good afternoon. And as I always begin, thank you to all of you who have given thus far, 86 of you, as a matter of fact. And together you have contributed $54,500, about $1,000 more than last year at this time. And that puts us on track for the goal that we have set and possibly even exceeding it, which would be a wonderful thing in these times of need. Yesterday, I received the numbers from Jane. They're reported to me every Thursday, and I'm recording this on Friday. And of course, there will be even more news next Wednesday. You can always check the website. It should be updated later today, perhaps on Monday, with the names of all of those who have given, though not the amounts. And so thank you so much for what you've done thus far. We have a video today from Access Community Health Center, which I think also thanks us and speaks to exactly why we are making the kinds of contributions that we do. Access Community Health Center received $7,000 from us as our contribution last year. And that's the second largest gift that was made, awarded in March of 2020. And it's chaired by fellow Rotarian Ken Loving, who has a message for us that I think is particularly appropriate right now. So without further ado, except for thanks again, here's Ken.
Greetings, fellow Rotarians. I'm Ken Loving, the CEO at Access Community Health Centers, and it gives me great pleasure to thank you again for supporting our patients through the Madison Rotary Foundation. In this time of pandemic, we have a sharper understanding of how illness affects our community. We remember the fear and anxiety illness brings when it affects us personally, and how heart-wrenching it can be to care for our children when they are sick. Imagine then if, in addition to your child being ill or needing immunizations or having anxiety that affected their school performance, for example, imagine if your family and your child is without health insurance and has nowhere to go for care. The Rotary Foundation has focused locally to support children and families without health insurance so that they can receive the care they need at Access. This year's grant provided $7,000, and since 2001, the foundation giving totals $139,000. At Access, we serve a primarily lower income population, and we employ a model of care that best meets the needs of our patients, more than half of whom identify as people of color. Our medical services include primary and urgent care, screenings, immunizations, and specialty referrals. We have psychologists and social workers on staff who make behavioral and mental health services a routine part of patients' care. Over a third of the 30,000 people who call Access their healthcare home are children. For children whose families lack health insurance, there is no cost for their children's care. With your help, we have eliminated cost as a barrier to care for these children, a significant accomplishment. Thank you for your generous, ongoing support.
Hey, thank you, Ellsworth. So I also wanted to mention that you can contact our Rotary office if you are interested in donating stock, which might be a good option for some members this year. Obviously, the stock market has rebounded significantly, and a lot of people have done well. So by donating stock that has appreciated for more than a year, you are actually giving 20% more than if you sold the stock and then made a cash donation. The reason is simple. You're avoiding capital gains taxes. And as you know, the maximum federal capital gains tax rate is 20% on long-term holdings. So just consider that, and the Rotary office can provide instructions if you would like to donate stock. So it's election season in our club, so we're going to announce the directors and nominees until our election on November 11th. Now, we have 12 members who serve 2-year staggered terms on our club board of directors, with 6 members elected annually. The immediate past president also serves a 1-year term. So our current board members are, and showing on the screen is Joyce Bromley, Mark Clare, Sarah Detienne, Steve Elke, Paul Hoffman, Teresa Holmes, Andrea Kaminsky, Haley Salsa Miller, Mark Moody, Mary O'Brien, Lee Richardson, Lynn Sexton, and Cheryl Wicke. So let's give them a round of applause. So as I mentioned, our board has 2-year staggered terms. So Joyce, Sarah, Paul, Teresa, Andrea, Haley, and Lynn will be coming off the board on June 30th. We now begin the process to elect 6 new board members to replace those outgoing board members. So the nominating committee has reviewed over 50 names, and I'm pleased to introduce 12 nominees. The following members have agreed to place their name in nomination. And by the way, we asked our nominees to have a little bit of fun and put a nice picture to add to their side to their slide as we announce them today. So you'll see several additions to make it fun. So Deb Archer, as you can see, geez, that was something that we all miss, a Badger game. We have Brian Baskin with his Harley in the mountains of Colorado. So that you can still do. We have Herman Bauman, Sandy Geller, Jenny Jeffries with her daughters in Paris, Anita Muhammad with her husband and children, Charles McLymans, at a Packer game. Valerie Rink on her bicycle. Jen Savino. Her son there. Scott Strong. Martha Sullivan. And Rob Vandenberg with his wife backpacking in Spain. So on November 11th, the membership will select 6 of these leaders to join the board for a 2-year term beginning next July 1st. The 12 nominees represent the future leaders of our club, and any combination of these will serve our club well for the next 2 years. Now, because of the pandemic, our club board adopted an emergency resolution to allow for our election to be held electronically. We'll be sending an email to all members on November 11th, and members will need to click on the link and complete the ballot by noon the next day. We'll also send the ballot out to any member without an email 10 days before the election, so they have sufficient time to get the ballot out and back to us. So basically, as of today, we're mailing out the ballots for those that don't have an email address. Now, our club bylaws also provide for the possibility of additional nominations. So any 20 voting members may nominate additional candidates. So additional nominations must be submitted in writing and filed with Pat Jenkins in the Rotary office by the end of the day, actually today. So thanks again to the 12 nominees who have agreed to place their names in nomination this year. Let's give them a round of applause. So we have birthdays to celebrate with a little bit of humor or wisdom that complements Rotary's mission. We also encourage members to make an age-appropriate gift to the Madison Rotary Foundation, rounded up to $100 for our Club Synergy Scholarship Fund. So October 27th, Cassie Bloomreich. October 28th, Maria Alvarez Stroud. October 28th, Tom Mooney. October 29th, Ron Thorstad. October 30th, past President Jason Barron, who works behind the scenes with Brian Baskin to make our online meetings possible here at Pearson Engineering. October 30th, Harry Engstrom. Also October 30th, Bradley Hutter, who shares this message. The bright side to 2020 being the worst year ever is that it should drastically reduce the number of times we hear, well, hindsight is 2020 next year. October 31st, Chris Ivanov. So thanks to our celebrants for the contributions to the Madison Rotary Foundation. Please join me in wishing them a happy birthday. Ellis Waller will play Happy Birthday on the bagpipes. So thank you, Ellis. Thanks for on to members in the news. My featured member in the news this week is Carla Tennis, who has been a member of a Rotary Club since 2016. So when she joined our club, she told us she's a big fan of the NFL and Fantasy Football League, and she also enjoys chasing and driving her kids around when she isn't working. She serves on our welcoming committee, and she also has volunteered as a discussion group leader on the annual ethics symposium for high school juniors. Now, Carla started working at Porchlight as an intern at the men's shelter at Grace Episcopal Church in 1990. She became Porchlight's executive director in 2016, and they are the largest provider of low-cost housing and homeless services in Dane County. They also operate the only nighttime emergency shelter for homeless men in the Madison area. She has a lot going on in regular times, and the pandemic has only made her organization even busier. Carla was quoted in an article last Wednesday about a new men's shelter proposal for the far east side of Madison. The site they were looking at is no longer available, but they hope to find an alternate place on the east side. So we wish her well with planning for the additional space to serve the homeless in our community. So as an example of what our impact is as Rotarian to the community. So well done, Carla. Other members in the news that I'd like to highlight. Congratulations to Ted Long, who retired October 1st after 60 years as a patent attorney at Boardman & Clark. So we look forward to your continued participation and involvement in Rotary activities. And then we also want to recognize Deb Archer, who received the Governor's Tourism Legacy Award for her outstanding contribution to the state's hospitality and travel industry. Another example of how we as Rotarians contribute to the community. Okay, so today's speaker is timely since we have to stretch our comfort zone to learn new ways to stay connected virtually. Darin Harris joined our Rotary Club in July of this year and is co-founder of Living Giving Enterprises, an organizational leadership development company which houses journeyofcollaboration.com. For over 25 years, Darin has convened people from multifaceted fields and backgrounds to address the challenges like homelessness, elderly falls prevention, sustainable manufacturing, and higher education innovation. He is also an author and instructor who guest lectures at UW-Madison, Edgewood College, as well as Northland College in Ashland. He has worked for UW-Madison as an internal consultant at the Office of Strategic Consulting for over 15 years. Now, Darin is going to provide us with some hands-on experience so we can be productive and human on our virtual meeting platforms. We look forward to your interactive presentation, Darin, and we have made a contribution to Rotary International Polio Plus Fund as a way to say thanks for speaking to us today. Now, because Darin will have an interactive presentation on Zoom, we all need to leave this meeting and click on the second yellow box you receive in your email from the Rotary office about today's meeting. Click on that yellow box or use the link showing in the chat and you'll get connected to Darin's Zoom presentation. We'll see you in a few minutes on Zoom.